Sky News host Gabriella Powers spoke to Professor Joe Siracusa from Curtin University earlier today.
You know, we're getting the Australian treatment in the United States now. The Chinese don't want to talk to us. They're cutting off all kinds of communications, all kinds of security and crime dialogues and climate change. Look, the consensus in the American establishment is that the trip was unnecessary, arbitrary, and reckless. That is, she didn't accomplish anything, and no one really knew what she was doing. She created nightmares for both President Biden and President Xi. Biden was trying to get her to stop from going, and of course, President Xi would be under pressure to do something about it, and so he did. You know, but Taiwan got hot drills after she left. All kinds of problems will happen there, and look. This Taiwan issue, which I thought was settled in 1972 and has to be relitigated, I guess. I mean, we agreed at the time that it was part of China and Taiwan. China was one, and Taiwan was part of it. As long as the Chinese don't attack and the Taiwanese don't declare independence, they could both get rich and prosperous together, and they have. So we're going to have to go back to the drawing board and look for a diplomatic solution. But what Speaker of the House Pelosi, who's made a lifetime out of antagonizing the Chinese, did was make everything go backwards. I mean, she accomplished absolutely nothing. And she made a lot of difficulties for people. You know, it's like somebody from Mexico showing up in Texas and says that we're going to help Texans become independent again. I mean, this is just stupid. I mean, I can't believe an 82-year-old Speaker of the House didn't have enough common sense to hold back on this.
Okay, and, you know, interesting analogy. Interesting analogy.
But look, at the very moment, or just before she landed in Taiwan, the President of the United States, Joe Biden, dragged himself out of his sickbed, his COVID sickbed, to announce to the American people that he had ordered the killing of the #2 fellow in al-Qaeda, that is bin Laden's successor. Now, so at the exact moment before she lands and everyone's kind of looking for her and wondering what's going to happen next, might even been a military overreach there, he announces that a fellow with a $25 million bounty on his head, 71-year-old guy, has been killed on the balcony of his safe house, which wasn't very safe, in downtown Kabul, which isn't supposed to have any terrorists. I mean, part of the deal for America leaving was that the Taliban would make sure the terrorists don't have a safe home, and of course they're all there, as a matter of fact. So anyway, they killed this guy on the balcony. And Gabriella, they killed him with a Hellfire missile on a drone. Now, the regular drone, Hellfire on a drone, is the same that killed the Iranian general in Iraq about 18 months ago, and Soleimani. But this particular drone, the BBC has indicated, was one of their experimental drones. That is, he was killed by 6 large blades around the drone so that it could dig its way through the roof of a place or go through walls. I mean, so the Biden announces on the morrow of Pelosi's visit that the United States has violated he's violated national airspace to kill a foreign national on foreign soil with a weapon that would have been outlawed by the Geneva Convention on Weapons. I mean, it just didn't make any sense. And shortly afterwards, or during the course of it, he told Americans they should rejoice. Well, they did 11 years ago when President Obama announced that bin Laden was dead. This time, Americans weren't so sure. And Gabriella, about 4 hours after the attack, the U.S. State Department sent out an advisory to everyone across the world that we can count on more terrorist attacks on American interests and the American people, wherever they are, Europe, Asia, Australia. So we're heightened targets. And it said the only protection was heightened vigilance and look over your shoulder. Well, it hasn't solved very much. And Americans weren't too excited. There was no dancing in the streets this time, no yelling at baseball games. So it was a very muted affair. So President Biden's having a very I think a very down week. He's sick. He's sick of Pelosi, and he didn't get the response he wanted on killing a guy with a $25 million bounty on his head. So he's Go ahead.
Interesting, isn't it, President Biden? It's been such a sizable week for the US while the president has been in isolation with COVID-19. The killing of the al-Qaeda leader, the key plotter of the 9/11 attacks, what does this mean for the US now?
Well, it doesn't mean much at all, actually. I mean, it's a day late and a dollar short. I thought the intelligence should have picked this guy up in August 2001 before the attack. We had all kinds of chatter that we didn't pay much attention to, or the Bush administration dropped the ball on it. No, it doesn't do much. I mean, the war on terror in terms of massing troops across into the Middle East is pretty much a failure. Right now, Islamic extremism has returned to the local level, and that's where it's going to make all the noise, and it's best dealt with at the regional level. I mean, lots of the American establishment think it was pretty much not a waste of time, but it wasn't worth the effort. I can assure you, while this guy had a bounty of $25 million on his head, you can bet people had spent about $350 million looking for him, so it just didn't pay off. And at the same time, President Obama introduced drones as a replacement for American troops in 2014 because Americans are very sensitive about the loss of American life. And so the drones were sort of an acceptable way to avoid that is to continue go after al-Qaeda. But, the al-Qaeda still has branches out there, and we haven't killed al-Qaeda as an idea. The war on terror is supposed to go after hearts and minds. And we didn't win too many hearts and minds. What we did was rip through the Middle East and Iraq and Syria and all the rest of it and created ISIS as a result of it. And we haven't been too successful there. And the president's been trying to get out of the Middle East, or all of them have. And so President Biden did that with the evacuation from Kabul. And how did that work out? It was a terrible, terrible evacuation. So this is supposed to be the compensation. This is the door prize for leaving Kabul badly, was to kill this 71-year-old guy having coffee or whatever on his porch at 6 o'clock in the morning on July 31st. If that's a victory, well, it's not much of a victory, but I'll tell you what, Biden will take anything he can get his hands on right now.